Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm Brendan Lee. I want to invite you to consider that what if your emotional pain is actually based on a mistake? Now, I know that's a bold statement, or I imagine it's a bold statement. It sounds like a bold statement to you, given what I observe is true of myself and other people. And what the fuck? What do I mean? What do I mean your stuff is based on a mistake? You're like, are my emotions a mistake? Well, they could actually be. But what do you mean based on a mistake? And here's what I mean. This comes from, for myself, at one point in my life, I ran into some challenges, right? Emotional challenges, mental emotional challenges, and I was in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. A whole lot of pain, right? I thought it was very important. At the time, it was incredibly important. And when I looked into it, I started to discover things like the pain was based on mistakes. And what do I mean by mistakes? I don't mean like a mistake like you're somehow wrong or bad. I don't mean a mistake like that. I just mean like, you know, when you think something is something that it's not, that's a mistake. You mistook reality, your life, yourself for something that you're not. And because you have done that, you've mistaken yourself for something that you're not. You're in pain about something based on what you think is true of you, in this case, or what you think is true of life, or reality, or other people. Yeah? And because you hold that certain things are true of others and yourself and life, then when something happens that is adverse to what you hold is true, you get in pain about it. Like it's like not what you want, you see, or it doesn't fit with how things should be. And so then you're in pain. And in that case, right away we can see that the should be is based on, if it's based on false information, you think things should be a certain way based on something you've assumed is true of you or reality or other people or life or whatever, then the emotional reaction that you have will have its foundations rooted in something that's made up, not true, assumed, and on and on and on. Yeah? Ergo, a mistake. You did a whoopsie. And because you're doing the whoopsie, now you're in a lot of pain. So now, what the fuck am I talking about? I'm like, yes, Brendan, thanks. Let's dig into this. For example, and this is a little bit challenging for me to come up with examples or ways to look at it. So, like, for example, if I believe that life is out to get me, and I also believe that I am somehow vulnerable to being hurt, like extra vulnerable, right? So I believe that life is out to get me and I am extra vulnerable. This is an assumption about life. I assume life is like that, and I think I'm very vulnerable. Now, when I say assumption, what I mean is that's the reality you're looking at. Life is scary. I am vulnerable. The life is and the I am part, that's what we call the assumption. But I want you to take note that an assumption has its power in that it looks real, as in for people, for all intents and purposes, people that are immersed in these assumptions, and we are, as human beings, immersed in many, many, many assumptions, it looks that way because it is that way. The is that way part is the assumption. Like, I'm over here. You really think I'm over here. You're like, yeah, Brendan, that's fucking obvious. I know it's obvious. That's the point. That is the assumption. The obviousness and the reality of it is assumed. You think I'm here. I may not be. You know, you assume location. Like I'm located. Anyway, that's from the old consciousness world. Do a lot of work, grasp that, get conscious, and you tell me what's true or not. Okay, but what I'm saying is I'm just using this as an analogy to point to the power of the assumption itself. Life is threatening. I am vulnerable to attack, right? Now, look at what the experience of the person would be, likely. Extrapolate, conceptualize with me, right? Are they having a good time? No. Are they scared most of the time? Probably all the time. Is being scared all the time, is that a good experience? No. How do you know it's a bad one? Well, it's scary, yeah, and it probably hurts. It's not comfortable, is it? Or go, pain, emotional pain, ow, I'm scared. And then there's fear, that like fear shit. Is that comfortable? No, more pain. And fear. And now, I've got to go through the world worrying all the time, more fear. Are people going to get me? Are people going to get me? Is life going to get me? More fear. Panic of not being safe ever. And then I do enough of that and I get locked in. Maybe I have panic attacks. Maybe I really flip out, right? Because I don't think the neurons can take all that much. Take too much of that. It wires people up. They freak, right? And then now we have physiological problems. Also, in order for me to control my life, in the example, follow along with me. Entertain me, follow along. Write a bunch of comments, right? Good comments, honest comments. Now I've got to control everything to make sure I'm safe. And when I lose control, I start to get angry, more pain and anger and control and tightness. You see, all these knock-on effects. But what is it all in the example? What is it all based on? What is it based on really? It's based on, I think, like reality's out to get me, ergo, it looks to me like reality's out to get me. Remember the power of the assumptions. I assume it just is that way. Like you talk to anybody who's a serious victim, that reality is just that way for them, but you know it's not. So these things are possible. Reality is just that way. It's dangerous. And then also, I am this way. What way are you? Well, I'm vulnerable. Well, what is that? How is it? How do you even know you're vulnerable? Well, I just am vulnerable. Yeah, you see, and then the questioning usually stops there. I just am vulnerable. Shut up, leave me alone. It's like, no, question further, consider, contemplate, wonder. Are you? That means you must be made of some breakable material that you think is somehow vulnerable, right? I am vulnerable. I am weak. How do you know? Well, I feel it. Yeah, but how's the feeling get there? Leave me alone. Oh, right. Well, I guess we better have margaritas then, because you want to be left alone. But for those brave souls out there, the courageous ones, or the ones who just want to know, or whatever the fuck, doesn't matter. What are you? What are you made of? What are you made of such that you're vulnerable? You see, you must be, like, check it out. Only things that can be broken are breakable. Things. You think you are a thing that can be, that has qualities of breakable or vulnerable or whatever. You think you are that. And then again, like flipping to being inside of it, it looks like it is that way, right? It is that way. So it's like when you're looking for the assumptions, don't look for stuff that you quote unquote think. It's more stuff that you are being, or the way that reality is ising in your experience. To use some different language, okay? You have to take a look at what you think is really true and question it. And get, is that actually true? Because going back, see, now I'm weaving things here to try to get a point across. Going back to the example, how much pain is that person in? Constant fear, constant control, super tight, not happy, not comfortable, constantly worried about being broken. Life's going to get me. I was like, oh my God, what a fucked existence. And based on what? What's assumed to be true? Is reality actually out to get anybody? Well, for those paranoid ones, yeah, you betcha it is, right? But is that actually true? What is reality? What is the nature of reality? Do you know? Well, the nature of reality is out to get me. But is it? Is that the real nature of reality? Does reality actually give a shit about you? Reality was there before you were born. Does reality care after you're dead? Is it going to somehow miss you? You see how that, wait a minute, you maybe start to question, wonder a little bit? Or you, what are you made of? How do you know that you're breakable? Do you know what you are? Do you even know who you are? Yeah, I know who I am. I'm a fireman. No, 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 no. What I mean is like who you actually are. Before you were a fireman, you, without an identity, language, are you your body? Do you know? Do you even know who you are? Well, and if so, how do you know if you're broken or how do you know if you're vulnerable? You don't know who and what you are. And again, trying to rip you off the assumptions. Are you located somewhere? Where? Inside your body? Where? If we open your body, we don't find a you anywhere. Science hasn't found one yet. Oh, you must be in your pituitary gland. But where in there? We crack, or your, no, what's that? Oh, pineal gland. Pineal gland. Sorry, see, I gotta get my spiritual bullshit straight. You're in your pineal gland. You're actually in a fifth dimension. Yeah, but where? Well, somewhere. Where? Here. Where's that? Don't know. Cool. Some of you don't know where you are, what you are, really who you are, and whatever, unless you do. It's very possible. Come to a contemplation intensive. They're kick-ass. Might help with that. Shameless plug. Links in the description. Join up. Yeah. If you don't know any of that stuff, how do you even know? How can you even say with some conviction that you're broken? Well, I feel it. Yeah, but what's the feeling based on? What are you? Well, I don't know again. Well, shit. Then I guess we have a problem, don't we? Maybe all that fear and all that pain isn't based on what you think it's based on. Maybe it actually is a mistake. Maybe you, whatever you are, can't experience fear at all because you aren't an experience. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe, who knows? You got to discover these things. So in this case, can you see the connection that I'm drawing? And can you see the what I'm drawing out here for you to consider? Yeah? So now, a lifetime of emotional pain. Let's take the victim, for example. The victim, what are they living a life of what? Well, victimhood. Well, they caused me to be in pain. Life did this to me. I'm in pain. It's not my fault. It's their fault. These things happened to me. Okay. Again, life did that to me. Well, what's the nature of life? Do you know? Does life have a particular quality? Is it somehow an entity out to get you? How do you know? Well, it feels that way. Again, you see, it's the feeling. Makes it seem awfully real. But if you don't know, again, what is life? What's the nature of life? And do you mean, as the distinctions we draw out here, do you mean like biological life? Do you mean your life, like an experience? What do you mean when you say life? And what is its nature? Outside of what you perceive it to be. What you experience it as, right? That's your experience, your perspective of life. It's not what life is. Does life include all life? You live and die. All things living live and die. Does life care? Does life have a will? You know, like, what the fuck is it? So again, how can it be out to get you? That's just something you make up, right? Or wrong, whatever, you figure it out. And then other people did it to me. Well, that means that you would have to think, again, more assumptions that other people have the power to create your emotions. Now, don't you think if people had the power to create your emotions, especially your loved ones, wouldn't they create your shit to be good? I mean, I know I would. If I had a loved one, I'd be like, oh, I make your emotions. I'm somehow responsible for what you fucking feel. Then I'd make you feel good shit, wouldn't I? Why not? Like as an act of will. But that's not how it works, you see. I have to do something that then you relate to a certain way, and you either feel good about it or bad about it. And we notice that different people feel differently depending. I could do the same thing, and two different people are going to have two different feeling reactions. Why? Because I'm not controlling what they feel. Some mechanism in their mind and their experience is controlling what they feel. Something they've built controls what they feel. See, it's up to them what they feel, whether they're doing it consciously or unconsciously. I mean, that is the truth of the matter. So we can't say, so then again, I'm trying to like break holes in this, well, you made me mad, or you made me sad, or you made me. That's not how that works. Again, question, what way does it work then? And then again, if the emotions are bad, if the experience is shitty, like the case of the victim, and the truth of the matter is that they're actually doing it, it must be based on some mistaken information. That others, one, can cause you to feel that way, that life is somehow out to make you wrong, that you are wrong in the first place, or that you can be wrong in the first place, that you somehow exist as a wrong thing, that you are a thing, that you're there, that you can be wrong. Like all this shit is assume. How do you know? If you don't know what you are, you don't know. What are you made of, some wrong material? Which material is that? I would like to go find some. Do they have it at Walmart? Walgreens? Seatown if you're in Jordan? Where the fuck is this wrong material that you're made of? Well, it doesn't exist like an object. Well, then where does it exist? Well, in your mind. Where? In your head? No, can't find it there. Yeah, but somehow you experience it. But how? Do you know? Well, no, it just happens. Well, what the fuck? You gonna let something that like just happens ruin your day? No, it just happens. See, so again, I'm making this argument for a consideration. Like maybe your pain is based on a whoopsie, like a mistake. Based on a beginner level, oops, I think I'm a thing that can be hurt. Oops, now you are, and you can be hurt. See, and then I think of other excuses that might come up. Yeah, well, if I don't do that, then I wouldn't feel anything. Well, maybe, maybe not. You'd have to check it out. Yeah, but I turn into a sociopath. If you're not a sociopath already, no, you're not. Yeah, but I'll lose empathy. I don't know about empathy. Somebody was talking to me about empathy recently. Another consideration. No, I'm very in touch with the experience of others to a large degree. I can look out, see them, feel them, grasp their experience to the best of my ability. I would call that empathy. Doesn't mean I have to relate to it a certain way in my mind. You know, if somebody's sad, I don't need to be sad with you. I can get your sad. I can get your pain. I can grasp that, feel that, be with that. I don't have to be the same reactiveness to it that you may be. That's not my job. That's your job. That's what you will do. You know? Am I not empathetic? Anyway, just sidebar, digression. Anyway, so you get what I'm saying? Well, like for myself, I thought like, oh my God, people are, I don't know, against me. I don't know, wait a minute. Oh, they're not actually against me. People are out for themselves. So then all this pain, gone. Doesn't need to be that way. You know, oh, I thought I should be a certain way. I don't actually have to be a certain way. Instant relief from a lot of suffering, just gone. You know, you get others like are no different than you. Oh, and a lot of struggle in relationship to others could be gone. It's like we're the same, but you have to get that. And not like a belief, but like you get it, the truth of the matter. So then it comes down to, again, like the possibility of becoming conscious of what's true in that matter. And it seems to lead toward less suffering, or at least an understanding of how the bullshit gets created in the first place. And the more I look at it, and then another sidebar, and then I think we can wrap this video up, is, you know, I had huge emotional reactions to stuff, right? Huge anger, lots of pain, and like against authority and like parent figures, right? And then I look at it, you know, like, and I had this later in life, you know, after 30, shit like that, right? I look at it and I really look at it and I'm like, what's this pain really about? And it's like, comes down to, I'm not getting what I want. And the what I want is based on things I think I should be, but aren't. And the things I think I should be are based on things that like somehow I think if I get this, I'll be fulfilled. Ergo, I'm broken. I need to fix myself because I'm not okay right now. I'm not whole and complete. So the whole thing is based on a whoopsie. I'm not whole and complete being the assumption there. Like, oh, I'm somehow broken. And then all this pain and bullshit on top of it was just the same tantrum shit I threw when I was like 2, 3, 4. That's where I learned that stuff. And it's like, I need to get what I want. Like a baby. Again, what the fuck is that good is that for? aside from feeling hurt and bad and alienating others and alienating myself and putting people down so that I think I need to feel better because I feel actually broken inside. Like the whole mechanism is foolish. Based on what? I'm broken, I need to be fixed. Yeah, but how do you know? Well, it feels that way. Jesus, here we go, back with the feelings again. Do you even know why your feelings are there? Yeah, well, psychology says, no. I'm not talking about psychology. I mean, do you know how your feelings are built? Like there's a trauma medicine. Like there's a medicine people use in surgery, right? That it doesn't stop the pain per se, because I know somebody got their heart shocked. It doesn't stop the pain, but what it does is it completely erases their memory, so they have no memory of anything that just happened. So they could be in a huge amount of pain, like trauma-inducing fucking physical, like massive shocks going through the body, front to back. They put shit on the front, shit on the back, and just fucking fry the shit in there, right in your chest. Huge shock, but you don't remember. Ergo, no trauma. You literally cannot remember it. And there's no pain. There's no problem after the fact. So it seems like trauma has something to do with past history, recollection, your past. No past like that, no trauma like that. Trauma doesn't exist in the future. It only exists in relationship to the past, as far as I can tell, or what's currently happening. But you see, as soon as something happens, right away, that's a concept. So you need that. It seems like that's part of how it's built. Psychology or no. See, no past, then there's no problem in this case. So then how are your other emotions built? They seem to have some kind of structure, existential structure, if you will. How do the mechanisms of your mind work? And that's part of what I'm trying to get at with this video. What if some of the mechanisms of your mind are based on a whoopsie, like a mistake, just some shit you made up when you were a kid, you didn't know any better, you think it's real now, and now you live as if that's the reality. And I try to use the victim to point at people who we can obviously see live in a fucked reality, and they can't see it, but you can. Now, what kind of fucked reality do you live in that you can't see? And maybe other people can't see or don't see because they're in their own fucked reality. I say fucked reality just to catch your attention, but just something that's like unnecessarily painful. Why? How does that come to pass? See, like I think Jesus said, remove the log from thine own eye before attempting to remove the sliver from thy brother's eye. And I got that from my dad. It's like, yeah, so what logs are in your eyes? What logs are in my eyes? What clouds your vision because you think it's real, but it's actually not. In that sense. And then why all that unnecessary pain? So, what if that shit is based on a whoops? You figure it out. Consider that. Let me know what you find out. Blow up the comment section. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Tell your friends about this shit. All the good things. Come to a workshop. Check out my website. You know how to navigate and read the stuff on the website. Send me an email. Drop me a line. Let me know what your challenges are. Come talk to me. All right. There's other offerings on my website. I just wrapped up a monthly call today. Those usually happen on Saturdays. The time can change, varying, depending. And in other news, I am coming to Holland this year, this next summer. Summer 2024, I'll be in Holland. I will also be in Wales. Check on my website for details about that, and then you can also go check. That'll lead you through to other places where you can sign up for these workshops. I'd like to see you there. I would like to promote this work. I would like to give this value that I provide for people to more people. And I want your help doing that, which means you have to come do some work. Come work with me. And I'll do that. I'll deliver that for you. All right, so much love. Take care. Till next time. See ya.